Mike Perlak here saying you, with the help of Ray Bradbury's and his adaptation story called The Reformers from 1953. I'm not going to share the artwork because this is copyrighted material. I have a little glimpse right there. But I love these old stories from these old comic books that were banned in 1954. Check Bill Gaines versus the People, or the People versus Bill Gaines, 1954. Anyways, I read this story, The Reformers, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm not going to share any of the artwork. It's all copyrighted material. I'm just going to give you the gist of some of it and read parts of it, too. It's actually one of the shorter stories in the book, but I was blown away by the story. I had to share it. So the story opens with these travelers of the universe, these guys traveling the universe, traveling different planets and societies. A group of people that call themselves the Reformers. So they travel the universe to find societies, to find the ills with these societies for them to reform. So now they get to this one planet and say, okay, it looks similar to some of the other places we visited. So they probably is going to have the same self-indulgence problem. That's what they call it. So they get to this planet, and right away they spot a vehicle approaching, and they say, "Okay, well here's an inhabitant of this planet." So we'll talk to him and see what's what, and see we'll start there. So they says, they stop this guy and they says, hey, yeah, we're here. We're part of a team. We're Team 7, and we're supposed to come here and reform the evils of different societies throughout the universe. And this gentleman that they come across says, oh, you won't find anything here. Nothing to reform here. Our society has no evils. And they says, oh no, well that remains to be seen. Take us to your leader. And right away, this guy, the inhabitant of this planet, is confused. Our leader? Yeah, the head man. You must have a superior, an overseer, a governor. Oh, yes, we do. But he does not receive visitors. I am the official welcomer here. My name is Peter. Very well, Peter. Take us on a tour of your society so that we may assess what work we have to do. We, as the reformers, have to do here. And Peter says, okay, come along. I'll show you that you are not needed here. Or, ordinarily, we don't have visitors here. Visitors are barred, but in this case, we'll allow you a brief glimpse. And others, they question whether or not leaving their spaceship there unattended is okay or not, or it would be subject to vandals. And this Peter guy assures them that, nope, there is no need to worry. Oh, okay, so... So the reformers say to this Peter guy, so you claim that your society is, has no ills, so you must have equal distribution of basic needs. Peter tells them that they have basic distribution of basic needs. And then right away the informers say that everyone is forced to work here? There is discontent. And Peter informs them, no one is forced to work, my friends. There is no work, only leisure. There is no discontent. No work, only leisure? Then you are an immoral society, self-indulgence and self-satisfaction. And Peter says, no, on the contrary, we are a very moral society. We are not self-indulgence. We believe in enjoying ourselves with the boundaries of moral behavior. The reformers tell him, no, such a society is impossible. There, then they see the cafe. Oh, you have a cafe, so obviously you have drink. So that you must have alcoholics. Like, no, everybody. If nobody drinks in excess, and everybody, so there is no drunkenness, and therefore none of the evils that comes with drunkenness. And the reformers say, bah, there must be those who are chronic alcoholics. And Peter says, nope, not here. Perhaps in other places that you visited. And then they point out, a scandal, a scantily clad woman, disgraceful, and you say your society is not immoral? The other performer says, probably an extremely promiscuous society. And Peter tells him, you are wrong, my friends. Scad clothing does not mean we are immoral or promiscuous, not in the least. If one is evil, one sees evil, even in beauty. Our moral behavior is, and I love this word, unimpeachable. I love that choice words there, Bradley. Ray Bradbury, rather. And they say, dressing like that is placing temptation where it can be easily reached. That is not beauty. But, and Peter interrupts, temptation is only for the temptatable, my friend. Where there is love and beauty, there is no temptation. And one of the reformers says, so what do you do for relaxation, entertainment? And Peter tells him, well, we have music, drama, literature. Here's one of our libraries. How can you have literature, the reformer says. What is there to write about? And Peter says, well, what is all literature about? About the societies past and present. And right away, the reformer picks up a book, says, this is a murder mystery. You say there was no crime here? And Peter says, that's right. I say our literature deals with our society, present and past. Although we have no crime here, we can still enjoy reading about it. But these books can cause crime to start again. They can be harmful. And Peter says, well, if there is no desire or reason for crime, reading about it will not cause it. After all, one cannot learn about what is right without also learning about what is wrong. And the reformer says, so you allow all this horror, fantasy, mystery, fiction in all forms, books, magazines, comics? Of course, there's no reason not to, Peter says. The reformers decide at this point, okay, take us back to our ship. We must make a report. Incredible, one of them announces. So Peter takes them back to their ship and says, now that you are convinced that you have no work here, you will be leaving? And the reformer says, perhaps. And they politely say to Peter, thanks for the tour. So now they're back on their ship, deciding, how can it be true? How can they drink and not have drunkards? How can they have crime literature but not have crime? How can they preach against evil? How can we preach against evil that does not produce evils? Wherever we've gone, we found these things. We could preach against them because we could blame them for the society's ills. Sound familiar? Perhaps here, the society... But here, the society is perfect. There are no ills. We cannot make scapegoats of them. Scapegoats. Perhaps, what can we report back? How can we reform when there is nothing to reform? And one of them says, well, perhaps headquarters will tell us what to do. This is a new experience for us. But then one of the reformers steps up and says, wait. I know what we can do. Of course. It's so simple. One of them said, well, tell us, what can we do? Bear with me a moment. Up till now, we have visited many civilizations throughout the universe. We have found each society that we visited a great many evils. Crime, gambling, drunkenness, sexual promiscuity. In each society, we also found certain indulgences that we could blame for these end products. We could blame crime literature of all kinds for the resulting crime. We could preach against these books and stories and magazines claiming they caused the crime, claiming their abolishment would end the crime. And the same with gambling, drinking. We preach for the outlaw of alcohol, claiming it would end drunkenness.
We were able to advocate sexual taboos as the answer to sexual laxities. Everywhere we found scapegoats to blame for society's ills and evils. But there are no evils. There are no evil end results to these very same indulgences on the planet they just visited. How can we use them as scapegoats? And the guy who stepped up says, simple. By producing these evil end products ourselves. Sound familiar? Producing them? You mean causing them to happen? Exactly. If there is no crime, we'll create a few crimes, let them find a few murders, a few robberies, and you'll see how quickly they look for an scapegoat. Yes, if they found a few drunkards, if they discovered the presence of promiscuity, then of course, that's what we'll do. We'll create the evils, and then we'll create the evils and then preach for the reforms that we want. Sound familiar? So they're back on their spaceship, and the narrator says basically they're proud of what this genius plan they came up with. They're proud of themselves with it. So they're radioing back to headquarters. Yeah, tell headquarters our situation, and then let's tell them our solution. Our solution. Oh boy, our solution is so righteous. I'm ad-libbing now, but yeah, this is headquarters, Clerk I-95. Ready, go ahead. This is Team 7 reporting. Here's what we found. Oh, Team 7, they radio back. We've been trying to get in touch with you. Stand by. The chief wants to speak to you. The reformers are surprised. The chief? Lucifer himself? And the last panel on this comic story, it's basically a depiction of the Prince of Darkness over this radio screen. There is no use trying to advocate reform where you are now, you fools. That place just can't be tormented. I've checked your location. That's heaven. I love these old stories. And this is one of the many stories that was banned in 1950. That was decided in 1954 was not for you and me. It just wasn't for you and me. That was an example of one of the many stories banned from the powers that be decided this story was not for the public. Sound familiar? Mike Barilak, thank you for your time. That's just one of several stories. I love these old comics, though. Mike Barilak, thank you for your time.